So a very warm good evening to all of you. Welcome to today's weekly career class, which is on the topic Top Careers in Finance. And today our speaker is Mr. Shiriish Bubna, and he is a certified counselor, career counselor and NLP practitioner. He is also a chartered accountant and holds a degree in business administration and finance from IMT Ghaziabad. So welcome, Mr. Shiriish, and it's great to have you. I'd also like to tell all of our viewers that during the time of the session, you can please post your queries in the chat box, which Mr. Shirish will take up at the end of the session. Right, we'll have a Q&A session. So please feel free to drop your queries. So welcome again, Mr. Shirish, and over to you.
Thank you so much. And it is always a pleasure to be here and sharing my knowledge with young minds so that they're able to benefit and make informed career choices. So without further ado, I would like to start with the presentation. And I'm going to talk about 6 different career options. 2 of them would be, so as to say, traditional career options. Traditional because the students, when they look in their families, they would see that their fathers or grandfathers having these qualifications. And then there are certain newer career options which have come up only in the last decade or so. So not many people are aware about it. Maybe they've heard the name, but they don't know what it entails. So I'm going to talk about them as well. So starting with all due respect to one of the most prestigious professions, which is chartered accountant, and there's a reason for that. So those who have have taken up commerce or have a bit of knowledge, so they would understand that the primary reason for that is only CAs have been granted certain statutory powers in India. Like every company, whether it is a private company or a listed company or a government company, they are required to get their accounts audited. And that, which means in a way, they have to get it checked. And that can be done only by an external chartered accountant. Only an external chartered accountant can sign the financial statements or do a statutory audit. Also, there are many other forms and reports that are required to be submitted to the Ministry of Company Affairs, which only a chartered accountant can do. So they are very well recognized and will continue to do so in the near future because regulations are only increasing by the day. And so one who's looking to get into this career must know that it requires deep technical knowledge of accounting, of taxation, of costing, of business law, financial management. So one should be prepared for that. As far as the basic structure is concerned, there are 3 levels to it: the foundation, the inter, and the final. So the foundation level is very basic. And also, if somebody is a graduate, normally this level is accepted for that person. And the real rigor actually starts from the second stage, which is the intermediate stage. And once a person, so in both these stages, intermediate and final, there are 2 groups each. And once a person, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Your slide is not showing actually. Could you check? Could you reshare your screen?
Okay, just. Let me just reshare. Just a second.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, can you see the screen now?
No, it's not showing.
Screen sharing is paused, it says.
Well, I'll share my screen. I'll go ahead. All right.
Okay.
You could stop sharing my screen.
Yeah.
So can you see it?
Yes, yes. The screen
All
is.
right.
Yeah.
Please.
So I think we've covered the first 3 slides. We can move on to slide number 4.
All right.
Yeah. So I just talked about the chartered accountancy structure. So there are 3 levels to it, and the real rigor, as I said, starts from the second level, which is the intermediate level. And both the inter and the final level have 2 groups of 4 subjects. And once somebody clears the intermediate level, then they're eligible to start with the articleship, which is a 36 months compulsory articleship, and that cannot be clubbed with any other work experience. It needs to be a separate articleship, and during the last 6 months of the articleship, one can appear for the final examination. And once a person clears both the groups of the final examination, then the CA certification is issued by the ICAI, and one becomes a member of the institute. Now, if we talk about the opportunities for a chartered accountant, they are versatile. They work with all the big corporates in their corporate finance division. They work with the big 4 consulting firms, as we know, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, EY, and they work with investment banks. They work with normal commercial banks like SBI, HDFC Bank. They work with insurance and mutual fund companies, fintech companies, and they can also set up their own practice. If somebody wants to become an entrepreneur, they can also set up their own practice. Now, the reason why CAs end up working in so many different areas, it is not just because they have the required technical expertise, but also because the CA course is so rigorous and has such a high learning curve that the people who are hiring a chartered accountant, they understand that, look, this person has the ability to work hard, to learn and master new things. So we put him in any circumstances, and that person will be able to learn and perform. So moving on to the next slide, we now look at uh, Samad, can we move on to the next slide? Yeah. So let's look at some of the pros or positives. As I said, it is one of the most recognized and valued options, and open to a large number of fields. Cost-wise, it is very effective. A lot of people, they come from very moderate financial backgrounds, and if we ignoring the cost of coaching, if you're doing a self-study, then in less than ₹1 lakh, you'll be able to become a chartered accountant. The salaries are really good depending upon which company hires you, what is your personality, how your communication skills are. It can go up from 6 to 7 lakhs to even starting salaries can be 12 to 15 lakhs as well. And another thing that has happened is that recently UGC has recognized the CA degree as equivalent to a postgraduate degree. So now people who want to pursue PhDs can also do so. So these are some of the positives of this option. Now let's look at some of the downsides or the cons. So everybody knows it is a very, very competitive examination. The pass rate is just about 10 to 15%, sometimes even lesser. The second biggest disadvantage is that it is a group-based exam system. So what happens is that if you've cleared, let's say if you passed in 1 or 2 subjects out of the entire group, but you've not managed to clear the others, then you have to appear for the entire group altogether. You can't select and appear for only those subjects in which you haven't passed. So that is a big demerit. Also, as far as articleship is concerned, the CA Institute does not allow you to pursue a regular graduation along with your articleship. So there are certain, so in states like West Bengal and Maharashtra, there are morning colleges and evening colleges, but so people can do a regular graduation along with articleship. But otherwise, let's say in a Delhi university where college starts at 8 and ends at 3, 4, in the afternoon. It is difficult, and the CA Institute will not permit it. And also, it requires a lot of focus because it is very demanding and very lengthy course. And lastly, it is recognized only in India. So if somebody wants to practice outside, then the CA certification doesn't really have that kind of value outside of India. They can't sign financial statements outside of India. So now let's look at so what somebody wanting to decide whether he or she should go for a CA course, what steps they should take. One is self introspection. Try to understand your interest. Try to understand your comfort zone. Whether you have an interest in accounts, taxation, and law, because this course would really go into the depth of it. And secondly, you also need to see whether you have a command over these areas, whether you have comfort with these areas. Also, the course is a really lengthy course. So, however intelligent you may be, you do require to sit for long hours of study as a stretch, and obviously, time management is also required. So, additionally, what you can do is that you can look at the course syllabus. So if you go to the Board of Studies website of the ICAI, they have everything over there. So they will have past year's papers. They will have the entire course syllabus. They'll have mock papers. So that would really give you an idea of what you're getting into. So it would be a good idea to look at that. You can talk to your seniors or people in your network who are CAs and understand as to what is the kind of work they are doing. It would also be a good idea, let's say if you're in 11th or 12th, it would be a good idea to, find out somebody who's in this profession, maybe, practicing on his own and work as an intern, irrespective of whether they pay you or not, and just to get a hang of, what the work profile is. So I think, this is something that is very important. So now let's look at some new age options. So we have ACCA, which is a London-based organization. Now this certification is similar to that of a CA. So what a chartered accountant is in India, it is equivalent to that in the UK. So this certification is recognized in UK, Ireland, European Union, Singapore. So outside of India, if somebody wants to make a career as a chartered accountant, then in these countries specifically, then this is one area, one certification you can look at. So the main difference is that unlike chartered accountant course where you're studying Indian laws and Indian accounting standards, here you would be focusing on the international financial reporting standards, which is called IFRS. So like I said, it is recognized more in the Europe and UK. And in order to be eligible for it, you can again start straight away after 12th. You need to have 5 subjects, and you can have mathematics or accounts. So if you are not from if you don't have accounts, you're not from the commerce stream, you can still go for it, but you need to have mathematics as a subject. And you need to have, out of the 5 papers, you need to have 65% in at least 2 papers. Now, again, the structure, as far as the structure is concerned, this is divided into 3 levels: knowledge, skill, and professional. There are a total of 13 papers. Now, the good thing about this is that there's no group-based structure. So you can, if you've cleared a paper, you've cleared it. You don't need to appear for all the papers. And it generally takes 2 to 3 years after. It takes 3 years after 12. If you're a graduate and then you're going for it, then you get exemption in 3 papers. You have to appear for 9 papers only. So then you take lesser number of years. Now, so once you've cleared all the papers, in order to get the license, you need to have 3 years work experience. Now, again, here in terms of work experience, they are more flexible. You can either have this before you start the course, during, or even after the course. So if you've cleared the papers, you'll get a job, and then you can, get the license later on as you complete the work experience requirement. As far as opportunities is concerned, again, you work with Big Four consulting firms. You work with the KPO or the back-end processing, departments of various multinational companies. You work with European companies who have their branch offices in India. The only thing is that purely Indian companies who don't have any operations outside of India, they would not have a requirement for ACCA because it doesn't deal with Indian financial laws at all. So that is one thing you have to be mindful about. So now let's look at some of the pros and cons in the subsequent slides. Yeah, so before we move on, I just wanted to give a brief overview. Like I said, these three levels: knowledge, skilled, and professionals. As you would see, the kind of exam subjects you would have to study, it would be related to, again, taxation, financial accounting, business law, audit. So very similar to the Indian chartered accountant C subjects. Okay, next slide, please. So, like I said, when talking about the positives of this, it is recognized globally outside of India, and it has an easier exam structure. Like I said, it doesn't have a group structure. Then you have on-demand exams for the first level, which is the knowledge level. So you can just register and you can take the exam as per your convenience. For the later two levels, the exams are conducted 4 times a year. So again, much more flexibility than the Indian CA, and it can be done along with graduation. It doesn't have a strict articleship requirement like a CA course has. Now, looking at the cons, it is more expensive than a CA because all the fee is in US dollars, pounds in this case, and so it will typically cost you. So every exam costs you about 10,000 rupees, depending upon the exchange rate. So it costs you about 2 lakh rupees, and if you're taking coaching, that would be extra. And also, like I said, for purely Indian companies, it is not of much value. So let's look at some of the other options. So here, the third career that I'll be talking about is the US CPA. Now, again, this is similar to a chartered accountant, but this is what a chartered accountant is in the US. So we do have CPA courses in Canada and Australia, and the US CPA has mutual recognition agreements with them. So if you become a US CPA, then there are certain documentary and work experience requirements that needs to be complied with, and you can work in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand as well. So let's look at CPA in more detail. Here I'm talking about the US CPA. So like I mentioned, it is equivalent to a CA in India, but it is recognized in the US, Canada, Australia. Now this is a single level exam, and which has 4 subjects that needs to be cleared. The exam format is also very different. Again, it is a computer-based exam and in the form of MCQs and case-based simulations, unlike a CA exam, which is totally theoretical. You have to write down subjective answers. Now, there are 50 state boards, and everybody has a different eligibility requirement to sit for the exam. And but thumb rule is normally they either require, most of them require 120 credits to be eligible to sit for the exam. Now, every year of graduation in India awards 30 credits, so that is 90 credits. Plus, if you've done a BCom and you passed with first division from a NAC A-rated institute in India, then you get another 30 credits. So that makes 120 credits. So you need to therefore at least be a graduate to appear for the exams. But once you've cleared the exams, to get the CPA license, you need to have 150 credits. So which means that you need to enroll for a master's program. So what many people do is, most people in fact, they enroll for an MCom or a similar master's program along with their CPA preparation, so that they meet the credit requirement. And then you need to have 1 year of work experience as well. So again, work opportunities are very similar to that of an ACCA. You would work with mostly MNCs and global consulting firms. But again, for purely Indian companies, not of much value. Now, one of the main differences, if we compare it with ACCA, is that an ACCA course can be started immediately after 12th, but a CPA exam can be taken at least during, you need to be at least in the final year of your graduation. And also it has 4 exams instead of 13, like the ACC. Now we can move to the next slide. So, just wanted to give a brief of what exams are there. So again, you will have audit, which is again MCQ and simulation based. Then you have business environment. Then you have financial reporting and accounts, and then you have regulations and law. So these are the again very similar to what you would study in CA or ACC. So we can move on to the next slide. So looking at the pros and cons again. So it opens doors to working outside India as a chartered accountant, and the exam structure is very flexible, single level exam. Normally, you need to clear all the 4 exams within 18 months of registering for the first exam. Most people end up clearing them, in a year or so. So it doesn't take too much time as well. The work experience requirement is also lesser compared to the other courses that we talked about. The pass rate is much better. So it ranges for every exam, it ranges between 50 to 60%. So that's, makes it much more easier than the CA in India. And looking at the cons again, it is slightly more expensive. Barring the coaching fee, it will cost you about 2.5 to 3 lakhs. And again, like I said, you need to study at least till master's first year because of the 150 credit rule. So let's move on to the next. So now this is very interesting. Many of you may have heard about the CFA course. So if you are somebody who's very interested in becoming a fund manager and managing crores and crores of fund and deciding where to invest it, which shares to invest in, and you would have heard of mutual funds, and every mutual fund has different schemes and they are being managed by fund managers, and they manage tens and thousands of crores of funds. They decide which shares to buy, which shares to sell. So this is what this course teaches you. And again, it is a very in-depth program. As we'll see later, we'll take a brief look at the subjects that are being taught. It provides you in-depth knowledge of investment analysis and portfolio management. It is globally recognized and a very well-respected course. Once you clear all the exams, so again, there are 3 levels here. You need to clear 3 levels, and the minimum eligibility is that you need to be at least in your final year of graduation. And once you clear all the 3 levels and you complete 4 years of work experience, you're known as a CFA charter holder. Opportunities are, a lot. You work with investment banks. We'll talk about it later as well. You work with commercial banks, venture capital funds, because, they always venture capital funds, they look for where to invest, which kind of companies to invest in. Mutual fund companies, stock advisory firms. So, lots of opportunities for CFA. So let's look at the next slide. So here I wanted to just take you through the course curriculum. If you see, you're focusing here more on different kinds of investment options. You're studying equity investments, which relates to the share markets, that fixed income, derivatives, real estate, commodities. So you're studying different investment classes, and obviously there are certain common subjects as well, like financial reporting, but because you need to understand how to read balance sheets, how to read financial statements, so there are certain overlaps also. Yeah, so we can move. But it's a very well designed curriculum, and they keep on updating it every year as the industry requirement changes. So very well made curriculum. So like I said, there are 4 elements to become a CFA charter holder. You need to clear all the 3 levels of exams. You need to have 4 years of work experience. They also are very particular about ethics. So they have a module on ethics. You have to clear that. Then certain reference letters need to be submitted, and then you apply to become a charter holder. So looking at the pros and cons, again, very well recognized in the industry, it adds good value to the resume, and this is something that can be pursued along with if you're already working, it can be pursued along with your job as well. And the downside is that it's a very rigorous course. It needs good amount of time management to manage your study and your job together if you're doing it along with your job. And a lot of people think that they don't realize that how much of in-depth study is required. So there's a lot of attrition also. They think that we'll do it along with our work, and it doesn't happen for a lot of people as well. And again, it is not that it is slightly expensive as well, like I've already mentioned. So now let's look at another traditional finance-based career called cost and management accountant. Earlier, it was known as ICWA, or a cost and works accountant. So, this qualification is an Indian qualification. It is issued by ICMI. And here we are focusing on the costing and the pricing of goods. So, a very interesting example, all of us take planes to travel, but how is the pricing of a seat done? It is not a product, right? And the pricing of the seat also varies. If you book 1 month in advance, it is something else. If you book 1 day in advance, it is something else. So how do you price a seat wherein it is not a tangible product? So that is just one example of where cost accountants come in. So they help in pricing of goods and services. Then things like a lot of management decisions, like whether to make a component in-house or whether to buy it from outside. What is going to be cheaper? Whether to continue with making a product or whether to stop it. Sometimes the fixed cost is so much that by stopping a product, you make more money. So these are the kind of decisions that cost accountants, they help management take. The structure is very similar to CA. You have again 3 levels: foundation, inter, and final. And again, they have 36 months of articleship. But the good thing is that you need to complete only 15 months before appearing for your final exam, and the rest can be completed once you've cleared your final exam as well. So that is one respite if you compare it with a CA course in India. So like I mentioned, they're involved in a lot of things like conducting cost audits. So a cost audit can be conducted only by a cost accountant in India. So a lot of companies, there's a statutory requirement, legal requirement to have cost audits. Then internal audits. Then, like I said, pricing decision, how much to price a product at. And then a lot of the time they're recruited by the customs department, because the customs tax is levied on the value of a product. So they do audits for the custom department to see if the pricing of the product has been inflated or has been underpriced to evade taxes. Then project management companies also hire them. Let's say, a ship needs to be built. That ship is going to take 5 years to be built. What is the cost going to be? How the cost is going to change with inflation? All of these things are done by a cost accountant. So again, opportunities are very similar to that of a CA. They are being hired by multinational corporates. They are being hired by consulting firms. A lot of PSUs. I wanted to mention here. A lot of PSUs hire cost accountants, and you can also work for the government. So there's like you have the IAS, you have the IRS. So through the UPSC, you also have an Indian cost accounting service. So you need to be a qualified cost accountant, and then you can UPSC comes out with vacancy every year, and you can apply for that. You can sit for the exam, and you can become a cost advisor to the government for their projects. And you get all the benefits of a government job, a government officer. We can move on to the next. Yeah. So again, looking at the pros, very well recognized in India, and it is again very low cost. If you're not taking a coaching, if you're into the self-study mode, then within 50,000 rupees, you can complete this course and become a cost accountant. No geographical constraints. because the institute sends you the material. It is not like you have to attend to a physical classes anywhere. So wherever you're based out of, you can study and do this course. And the starting salary is also very good, almost at par with chartered accountants. Again, it is a fairly intensive course, requires in-depth study, and obviously you have to while you're doing articleship, you cannot do a regular course with it similar to that of the same. And again, recognized only in India, not outside of it. Yeah, so we can move on. So coming on to the next one. So this has 10 years. If 10 years back, if you asked me, nobody had heard of what an actuary is. So in order to explain, what being an actuary is all about, I would like to, just take an example. So, let's say there's a person called Vivek, and he's age 20, and he's a new driver. He doesn't have much experience, and he buys a car. And we know that whenever we buy a car, we have to take a car insurance. So he's paying 5,000 for the car insurance, wherein another person, his name is Arnav, he has 10 years of driving experience. He's buying the same car, but he's paying a lesser insurance premium. He's paying 4,000 rupees for it. Let's take another scenario wherein, Abhinav, he's buying a car in Bombay, Mumbai, and he's paying 5,000 rupees as car insurance. And if he's buying the same car in Nasik, he's paying a lesser amount as insurance. So now what is happening? Why is it in both the cases? What is the common factor that is leading to a variation in the pricing of the policy? So if you just, Samarth, you click on the next. Sorry. So it is the risk. So in the first case, because Vivek is a new driver, so he doesn't have much driving experience. So the insurance company feels that the risk of his getting into a accident is higher than somebody who has driving experience. Similarly, in the second case, maybe the insurance company has data to suggest that Mumbai is a riskier city to drive with more number of accidents compared to Nasik. So where the risk is higher, accordingly, they've priced the insurance premium higher. This is the financial risk is what the actuaries calculate. They basically use mathematical and statistical models to put a number to the risk and therefore calculate the financial risk. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide. Yeah. So, like I said, they're calculating financial risk, and if somebody is looking to being in this career, they should love maths. They should be, very, very comfortable with maths, because it would involve a lot of calculus. It would involve a lot of probability, a lot of statistics. So if you feel that, maths is for you, only then one should go for this career. If we talk about the minimum eligibility, you need to have cleared 12th with mathematics. If somebody tells you that even without mathematics you can go for it, and I think that would be not a good idea at all. So this profession in India is regulated by IAI, which is the Institute of Actuaries of India. So you need to clear the ACET exam after 12th. And once you clear the exam, that is when the journey begins. You are registered as a student with the IAI, and then you have to clear 13 papers one by one across 4 stages. So, the first 2 stages are core papers, and then third and fourth would be according to how you want to specialize. If you want to go into life insurance, whether you want to go into health insurance, accordingly you choose papers and you clear the papers. Once you clear all the 13 papers, then you are registered as a member of IAI and you are officially called an actuary. So it is one of the highest paid professions, even as per LinkedIn. The job security is very high. There are very few actuaries in the world, because the course is very maths intensive, and it is ideal for those who are who want more of a desk-based job, and who want to be in a role that doesn't involve a lot of interaction with a lot of people on a regular basis. It's not like you don't interact, but obviously it's more a limited set of people that you interact with. And another thing is that, like we have IAI in India, we have IFOA in the UK. So, UK is like the main market of actuaries, and the number of insurance companies that are there in the UK far more exceed that of India by a wide margin. So so IAI has a mutual recognition with IFOA, and once you have 3 years of work experience post becoming an actuary in India, you also are recognized by IFOA to work in the UK and Europe. So that is a big plus if somebody is looking to later on relocate outside of India, work outside of India. It is one of the most difficult courses to crack and requires a very strong command over mathematics. And of late, earlier what used to happen was that people would clear 3 or 4 papers and then, even 2 papers out of 13, and they would immediately get absorbed by a company. But now, as more people are getting to know about it, the supply has started coming up. So don't go into this course expecting that I'll just clear 2 papers and I'll start working. Be prepared to clear more number of papers now, and be prepared to build up on your skills. You may get a job earlier, but don't go expecting that. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide. So this is an indicative list of what kind of companies can hire you. So insurance companies are the the biggest recruiters for actuaries. But apart from that, a lot of consulting companies, they give risk advisory for their clients. So they also hire a lot of actuaries like McKinsey, EY, KPMG. And then global consultancies, their back offices like Mercer, WNS, they also have their offices in India, and they also hire actuaries. Now, salary as per upgrad, is starting salary goes from about 6 to 7 lakhs, and somebody who has an experience of 7 to 8 years normally commands around 50 to 60 lakhs rupees per annum, provided he or she has cleared all the 13 papers. So now, that I've talked about all the 6 careers, I want to talk a little bit about, what are the different work areas that, one would be working in after clearing all these, any of these certifications. So let's look at that. So the first one would be consulting. And, earlier what used to be called as audit firms. So if we talked about a PricewaterhouseCoopers or an EY, they would be called audit firms. But now they're called consulting firms because they provide all kinds of consultancy, whether it is accounting, whether it is tax, whether it is risk. So, whether it is corporate law. So you end up working with, these companies in the areas of statutory audit, internal audit, taxation advisory. A GST implementation has come up very much nowadays. So, so this is one area you could end up working with. So let's look at the next slide as to what are some of the certifications that enable people to work in these areas. So in consulting, you could be a CA, you could be a cost accountant, you could also be an MBA in finance. And with a CPA or an ACCA also, you can work in consulting, but only in MNC firms. So like I said, these are highly technical areas. So you need to have good command over accounts, audit, and taxation. And initially, you should be prepared to work for long hours. And because you would be facing the client and communicating with them, so you should have good interpersonal and presentation skills. And obviously, a lot of work will happen over Excel. So good Excel skills would be a big plus. Yeah. Let's look at the next work area. So this is just to give an example of few people who've done really well in this field and the kind of background they've had. So Sanjeev Krishnan is the chairman of PricewaterhouseCoopers India. So if you see, he did his graduation in economics, and then he's also a chartered accountant. So corporate finance is another area. So how it is different from consulting is that in a consulting company, you're working for different clients. So maybe you're providing tax advisory to one client or accounting advisory to another client. Here, you are working in a particular company. So for example, you're working in a Reliance or you're working in a Tata and you're working in their in-house finance division and you're working for the company itself. So maybe you're in the budgeting and forecasting division, wherein you're forecasting what is Reliance's revenue going to be in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. How is the cost structure going to change over these next few years? Where are the areas where cost reduction can be done? Then you could be working in the treasury department. So Reliance generates thousands of crores of cash profit every year. So where to invest that profit? Should it just be lying in the bank, or should it be invested somewhere else to so that it can make better returns? So you could be working in the treasury department. You could be working in the taxation department to help Reliance save taxes and also comply with various taxation rules. So this is corporate finance is a very, very important area. Yeah. So next slide. So again, you could be working in corporate finance through different, certifications. You could be a CA, a cost accountant. You could be an MBA in finance. You could also, not have a professional certification, but you could have a master's in commerce degree. But again, one needs to understand that with only an MCOM degree, the growth prospects will not be so much, and the time you would take to reach at a particular level also would be much slower. Again, you need to, depending upon which area you're working in, you need to have good command over that, accounts, audit, taxation. You also need to have good understanding of the business. For example, in order to forecast how much revenues Reliance going to generate from, different business verticals, you need to understand how those business vertical function, where does the money come from, who are the clients, how the business environment is going to change, all of that. So you need to have good analytical understanding of the business, and again, good communication presentation skills. Now, if we look at profile of people who are doing really big in this area, so they are again from different backgrounds. Like if we see Raghav Rao, who's the CFO of Amazon India, he has a tech background and then an MBA from IIM. Then if you look at CFO of Paytm, he's a chartered accountant. Then again, Yogesh Gupta has a law background and is a chartered accountant as well. Yeah. Now, the another interesting area is investment banking. So, investment banking, basically investment bankers, they help their clients raise money from the market. So, let's say, they will help a Zomato come up with an IPO, or they will help the merger of two companies. So, again, a very, very, high pressure area, very steep learning curve, and very, very well paying as well. A lot of, so who will hire you? So a lot of investment banks in India like SBI Capital, what you can do is, you can, if you want to see, you can just pick up any recent IPO and you can see as to who are the investment bankers for that particular IPO, who are managing the IPO, and you will get an idea. Then consulting companies also hire you. Then there are global investment banks like Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers. You could end up working for them as well. So again, you could be a CFA, and because again, you are advising companies on mergers, acquisitions, which company is a good buy, valuing the company. So you could be a CFA, you could be a CA. Like I said, CAs fit in anywhere and everywhere, in MBA as well, and a master's in economics. Again, salaries are pretty decent, and so as you grow along, depending upon the number of deals, the kind of deals that you're handling, apart from salaries, you also get performance bonuses and commissions. Sometimes they exceed your salary. So, very well paying job. Again, you need to have strong research and analytical skills, very good communication skills, good networking skills. And like I said, it is a very fast-paced work environment. You know, long hours, you need to deliver a lot. So again, very high-paced, high fast-paced work environment. Yeah. I think probably the last area we would look at is equity research and portfolio management. Like I talked about earlier when we were discussing CFA. So these people would generally analyze which shares to buy, which shares to sell, where to invest their funds. They will manage their client's portfolio. So, like I said, let's say Reliance or any company has 500 crores, and they want a professional portfolio manager to manage their funds. That's where they will come in. So they will analyze the shares, they will value the business. Again, you would end up working with, like I said, mutual fund companies or asset management companies like HDFC, SBI Mutual Fund, Franklin Templeton. You could end up working with stock broking firms like India Bulls. Even banks nowadays, your HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, they have their wealth management teams. You could end up working with them as well. Yeah. So a CFA is a very, very important qualification, relevant qualification if one wants to work in equity research. And all the other qualifications would also enable you to work in this area. Salary is again in the range of anywhere between 7 to 12 lakhs. Again, because you are analyzing, researching a lot, uh, uh, so you need very strong research and analytical skills, strong understanding of financial statements. You need to understand. You need to be able to read the financial statements very well. And another important skill is Excel modeling skills. And obviously, when you are analyzing a share and you're presenting, your findings, you present it in a form of a written report. So you need to have great report writing skills as well. So these are three very famous fund managers actually. So Nilesh Shah, Anup Padhyay, and Anand Radhakrishnan. So if you would see, two of them have a CFA degree, and Nilesh Shah is again a chartered accountant as well as a cost accountant. So to close my presentation, I would like to talk about certain value-added courses that you could take up alongside. So, like I said, financial modeling using Excel is very helpful, especially if you want to go into equity research and portfolio management. Then again, Excel skills, needless to say, in any of these areas you want to work in, very important. Presentation skills. Now, fundamental analysis. This is for someone who is specifically interested in equity research, is very fascinated by stock markets, and wants to understand more about how to buy or sell shares. They can, for them, it's a very useful course. So, these are just some value-added course you could take up to build up your resume. So, that is all from my side, and I hope I've been able to add uh, some value to what you already know. And I think, Samar, that's all from my side. And if there are any queries, we can take it.
All right, sir. So we have come to the Q&A session now. So I would request all our viewers to please post your queries, or please feel to unmute yourself and ask sir as he is present here. So we had someone on YouTube who was asking about company secretary, but that would be covered in a separate class altogether. Here we have tried to cover the top 6 career options under finance.
Yeah. So here we have tried to focus more on those careers that are number oriented. So
Right. So we're in the Q&A session. Again, a reminder. So please feel free to post your queries in the chat, or you could unmute yourself. So we have one question here. Can you suggest options without maths?
Yeah, Neha. So all these options, apart from actuarial sciences, you could take up without maths. In terms of eligibility criteria, they do not require maths as well. But at the same time, there should be a basic comfort with numbers. You shouldn't be averse to numbers in order to be in this area, in these areas. So whether it is a CA or an ACCA, but yes, you should be very comfortable with accounts. You should be very comfortable with taxation. Maths is so it's not like you would be dealing with complex mathematics in any of these careers. But yes, there needs to be a basic comfort with numbers. So let's say if I'm saying that basic things like if you're making something at 20 rupees and you're selling something at 30 rupees, what is the percentage profit you're making? So this kind of maths, this kind of comfort needs to be there.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so another question from Ms. Parmita. Can you throw some light on the CFA levels in terms of difficulty levels and the career prospects?
Yeah. Yeah, Parmita ma'am. So in terms of the difficulty level, the CFA course is fairly rigorous, specifically so in the second and the third level. What I've seen is generally people end up clearing the first level, easily, and they get stuck in the second or the third level. So CFA website says that 300 hours of study is required for clearing these levels. But I've seen that people who are focused and determined and have the basic reasoning ability with proper study, proper dedication, they are able to clear it. But yes, it is not something that can be taken lightly at a superficial level, specifically with level 2 and level 3. You need to put in the hours.
Right. So, Shiriish, is it possible for a student who is, maybe doing his BCom or BBA, to complete the level 2 while studying, or would you suggest that it is always better to attempt level 2 after the studies are completed, graduation
Yeah.
studies are?
Yeah, so for a CFA, again, you in order to enroll for the course, one needs to be in the final year of graduation.
Hmm. All right. Thanks.
So
Thanks.
yeah, yeah.
So it happens only twice a year, I suppose, no? Somewhere in the end, in November and February, isn't it?
Yeah, twice.
So they can choose on their own. So you suggest that someone who's in the final year of the graduation, that's the right time to be taking the CFA.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thanks.
So we have one more comment on YouTube. Is CMA a good career option? So, sir, so could you throw some light on who would be the ideal fit for this career option, CMA?
I suppose you're talking about the Indian CMA, right? That we talked about in the presentation.
Yes, yes.
So again, somebody who is I would say that somebody who has a lot of interest in cost analysis, somebody who has a lot of interest in budgeting, somebody who has a lot of interest in this is unlike a CA. This is not very focused on accounts and taxation as such. The course is more focused on the costing or the pricing part of it. So I think that is what is the key differentiator. As far as the prospects are concerned, the prospects are huge. Like I said, so apart from the consulting companies, apart from the all the multinational corporates and the Indian companies, a lot of public sector companies, they hire cost accountants. And like I said, you can work for the government as well. You can work for the customs department as well, and a lot of project management companies wherein they're building something. So let's say, for example, a highway, a flyover is being built. So the costing for that, taking out the costing for that is a very challenging process. So infrastructure companies. So here the focus is more on the costing part or the budgeting part of it. So if that is what interests you more, then I think you can go for cost accountancy. And if you know you are more of a person who likes accounts more, who likes taxation more, wants to get into auditing. Auditing is basically you're checking whether the financial statements have been prepared according to the Indian laws. And if you want to get into tax advisory, all of that, then I would say that chartered accountancy course would be a better fit for you.
Okay, so we have a few more comments from YouTube and Zoom as well. One is there's a student who is asking, what are the necessary skill sets that will help you have an advantage in if you were to go for MBA in finance? Apart from financial analysis and Excel skills, what other skills could one pick up if they were to go for MBA in finance?
Yeah. So one thing we need to understand that an MBA in finance is a very different course compared to all the courses that we've talked about, in the sense that an MBA doesn't go into the hardcore technicalities of finance like that of a CA or an ACC. So you would be an MBA is more about managing the business. So the course would be giving you an overview of finance. So let's say just to give an example, it won't tell you how to prepare a balance sheet or how to prepare a profit and loss account. It'll be more about, the balance sheet has already come to you, and now you have to study it and you have to give your, analysis of it. So it won't go into much detail of it technically. And also an MBA would cover different other areas or functions of running a business. Like, for example, you would be taught human resources also, you would be taught IT also, you would be taught marketing also, different aspects of running the business. But the focus would be more on the finance side. So, and also the way an MBA course is structured, it is very different from that of a technical course. So you would have a lot of group projects to do. You would have a lot of guest lectures. You would have industry internships. So that way, I think one is that you need to have good communication skills. So if you are, let's say, currently in your graduation, or if you're in your school right now, uh, it would help to be a part of different group projects wherein you can build up your interpersonal skills, you can build up your presentation skills. It would help to build up on your PowerPoint, presentation, even Excel would help. So presentation, communication, interpersonal skills, these things would be more relevant to getting you up for an MBA. As compared to a C. And apart from that, obviously, if you in order to get into the MBA program, in order to clear CAT and other related exams, obviously that requires a different process as well.
So we have a question. How do you enroll in for ACCA, and would it be a good idea to do ACCA actually along with graduation?
Yes, I think that it will be a good idea, because an ACCA, the minimum eligibility is class 12, and you have 13 papers, and the like I said, the subjects are also, although you would be studying international laws, but then obviously the basic concepts remain the same. So you would be able to, if you're in a course like a BCom, obviously then there would be synergies to both the courses. In fact, if you would visit the ACCA website, then you would, it has a section wherein it mentions region wise as to, a lot of institutes have tied up with ACCA for an integrated course. So their BCom course or a BBA course, like Bennett universities here, they offer a BBA along with ACCA. Then Ansal University in Gurgaon offers BCom with ACCA. So you get 6 papers, or if I remember correctly, as an exemption in ACCA. So you could also look at these integrated programs, which will help you do both the programs together.
All right, sir. So one more question. Can a student enroll after 10th for CMA?
For CMA, No. See, even if you, the thing is that you would be able to sit for your foundation, CMA foundation or a CA foundation. It's similar for that. If once you have appeared for your class 12th exam. So even if you register after 12th, you would not after 10th, even you would not be able to appear for your foundation exam till the time you've cleared your 12th.
Okay, so I see Miss Halma, she has raised her hand. So please go ahead.
Yeah, that was answered right, I think. But what do you suggest? A BBA with along with professional course, or after doing MBA, we have to enroll for these professional courses? What's the right time, do you think? So that they can clear all the 13 papers which you are saying, which comes in this.
So see, I would say that there's no one size fits all answer to this, because every student would be different. I would say that see, like if I talk about ACCA or a CA, these two courses allow you to enroll for it after 12th. However, if I'm talking about a CPA or a CFA, then the minimum eligibility needs after graduation. So if I'm talking about these two courses, then if one is specifically pursuing a BCom, then in terms of subjects there would be synergies, but at the same time one needs to talk to the child and see how well he is at time management, how much pressure that person can take. Because let's take the example of a CA. So let's say if I'm doing it along with my BCom, so I would have my BCom classes. Then if I'm taking coaching for it, then I would have my coaching classes, and I would have my home assignments from my graduation. So some people can manage it. Some people find it difficult to have their legs in two boats together. So it is a very child specific situation. One needs to see if the child is comfortable with that.
So you suggest BCom doing with this any of these professional courses, or BBA also would,
BCom would have more synergies.
okay. Oh, got it.
Yeah, BCom
Thank you
will
so
have.
much.
All right. So one more question. What is 150 credit rule?
Yeah. So for CPA, I presume this question is being asked. So what happens is that there are two different criterias. One is the criteria to sit for the CPA exam, and the other is the criteria to get the CPA license once you've cleared the exam. So first I'll talk about the 120 credit rule. In order to sit for the CPA exam, you need to have 120 credits of education. So what that means in the parlance of Indian education system is that every year of graduation entitles you to 30 credits. Okay, and so if you have completed 3 years of graduation, so in the US, for example, a graduation is for 4 years. So anybody who is pursuing a graduation there, okay, so they will anyway have 120 credits because they're completing 4 years. In India, we have generally a 3-year graduation. So 3-year graduation will entitle you to 90 credits. However, if you many boards, like I said, there are 55 state boards in the US. So many boards allow 30 extra credits if you have a first division in your graduation course related to commerce, and the institute from where you've done your graduation should be A rated by NAC, which is a quality rating institute, a certification body. So for example, let's say if you're doing it from an SRCC, which is an A plus rated, and you're doing a BCom course from there and you have a first division from there. So that entitles you to another 30 credits. Okay, so you have managed the 120 credits requirement, which is there to sit for the CPA exam, for the CPA examination. Now, once you've cleared all the 4 papers, okay, you've done the major part of it. You've cleared all the papers. Now you've passed. You'll get a job on the basis of that also. But now, in order to get the license to practice, you need to have 150 credits. So now which means that you're still running short of 30 credits. In order to get those 30 credits, one needs to enroll for a master's course. 1 year of that master's course will give you those extra 30 credits. Okay. So a lot of people, what they do is that post their graduation, they enroll for an MCOM or any other master's course in finance, and they parallelly prepare for their CPA examination. So typically what happens is it takes them about a year to year and a half to prepare and clear the CPA examination, during which time they have completed 1 year of their masters, entitling them to that another 30 credits. So by the time they clear the examination, they have 150 credits.
All right, sir. So one more comment. As many universities are starting 4 years graduation under NEP, so will it be sufficient?
For the credit,
Yes, yes. I suppose that is what the person means here.
Yes. So, so like for example, I was looking at one university, so they have a 3 year course as well as a 4 years honors course. So that would definitely give you the 120 credits. But again, you would have to have one more year of education for another 30 credits.
All right. And we have someone who asks how to work with the government services. You mentioned you can work with the government services after having done CMA. So
Yeah.
how to do that?
Yeah. So what happens is that just like you have IAS or an IFS, so under the Ministry of Finance, there's an expense wing, and they every year they come up with a vacancy. I think it's in January every year. It's called the ICOS, Indian Cost Accountancy Services. So a notification comes for that. It is again very competitive. I think this year they under the regular scheme they just had 16 odd seats. So the basic eligibility is that you need to be a qualified chartered accountant or a cost accountant. And if if you have work experience, that is an added advantage. But the but that's not mandatory. And then you need to appear for the examination. You'll be able to find that syllabus online. It's mostly related to all the things that you would have studied in as a part of your CMA course. And once you clear that examination and the interview, you become an assistant cost director in the government, and then you're working with different ministries and to analyze the costing of the projects.
All right. So do we have any more queries? If not, then we shall end the session now. And I'm going to paste the contact details of IDC in the chat box here. So please do feel free to contact us for any career counseling related support that you may require. And Mr. Shiriish is also one of our counselors here at IDC. So we would love for you to come to us if you require any help.
Thank you everyone. It was wonderful being here, and I really appreciate all of you listening patiently to the session. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. It was great to have you. A very nice session, and we hope to have you some other time as well on this platform for another weekly career class. And thank you to all of our viewers for sitting and patiently listening, and also being so interactive and asking questions to sir. And we'll see all of you next week for another weekly career class. And thank you so much. Bye.